Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the High Performance Centre for Dale Carnegie Training Japan. I had a chance, I think, to meet most of you. My name is Greg Story. I'm the president of Dale Carnegie Training Japan, and my co-trainer today, please meet Gary Smith, who will be working in the review room with you. We call this high impact presentations. What do you think that means? When you hear the word high impact presentation, what's your image of that? What do you think? High impact, what does that mean, do you think?
High impact.
What's your impression?
Eager.
Eager? Yep. What do you think? Leave an impression. Yeah. What do you think? High impact.
Something that's very impressive.
Something that's very impressive, yes. We could have just called it presentation skills. That would have been fine. Description. Presentation training, we could have called that today. But we call it high impact because at the end of this 2 days, the objective is that you are a presenter that people remember. And they remember you in a very positive manner. You leave something with the people attending your presentation or listening to you. That's the objective. Now, we found some interesting things in research. They did a study of 200 vice presidents of major Fortune 500 companies in the States, and they said, look, you guys and gals, you hear a lot of presentations. What's your impression? Well, it's rather shocking, actually, when you get the results, that only 3% found the presentations were stimulating. 40% said it's putting me to sleep. 44% said it's boring, it's killing me. And 13% I don't know what they were thinking, but only 3% said this is stimulating. Now, when you look at this number, the first thing that we should think is, what a great opportunity. What a great opportunity. 97% of people are homeless. And we don't have to be one of those people. We could be in the top 3%. Now, normally, in any business situation or any professional field, to get into the top 3% of your field is an incredible struggle. But with something like this, it's relatively simpler to get into the top 3% if, however, you have the training. And the reason most people are in the 97% is because they don't have the training. They're lacking the fundamentals. So this is our objective, try and get into this top 3%. Now the message and the delivery are very, very critical. Professor Albert Moravian, he wrote a book called Silent Messages back in the 60s. He did a study of presentations, learning, and he found some very interesting things. When the content and the way we present the content don't line up, then the message gets lost. You might think, I've got this fantastic intellectual property. I've got this great expert knowledge. I really know my field. I'm really substantial with the information I've got. All I have to do is give them information and the audience is going to be brilliant. But what he found was, that doesn't happen. He found that when the content is delivered in a way that doesn't match the content itself, what we call in English incongruent, they don't line up, only 7% of the actual message gets through. Just 7%. 93% gets lost, and it gets taken up by voice, how we sound, and it's visual, it's body language and how we're dressed. And you might doubt that, you might think, no, I'm an expert, I know all my stuff, people are going to listen to me, they're going to want to hear what I'm going to say. So I'll give you a little demonstration very quickly of how that doesn't work if you don't get the content and the way you deliver to match up. Try this. What I said was, good morning. My name is Greg Story. I'm the president of Dale Carnegie Training. Dale Carnegie Training is the leading presentation skills training company in the world. But that's not how I said it, was it? I had no voice strength, no confidence. I wasn't making any eye contact. My body language was dead. So, did you get my words? No, but you got an impression. You got an impression here, but not the words. So, we think, oh, prepare the PowerPoint, that's important. Get the message right, that's important. Of course they are. But if we don't get the delivery right, then we are going to have a major problem in getting our message through. So, we might ask the question, what is the message? Is the message the detail? Is the message the content? Is the message the intellectual property that we've come up with? Well, Roger Ailes, who wrote the book, You Are the Message, says no. The presenter is the message, not just the words or the PowerPoint pack or the handout. We actually are the message. When we understand this, we understand why the way we deliver and what we deliver must line up to have maximum impact. So when we talk about high impact, it's basically three things. Structure. In these 2 days, you will learn a multiple number of speech structures for different situations. So when you come to prepare, how do I prepare a speech on whatever? There'll be a structure for that. We'll teach you the structures, the framework. Content, you provide the content because you're experts in your business areas and professional fields. We don't provide the content, but we always presume the content is good because it's yours. Okay? So we won't touch the content. And then the delivery. This is where we're really going to put the effort. Because you can have the most fantastic structure. You can have the most brilliant content. But as I just demonstrated, if your delivery isn't working, it doesn't matter about the structure of the content. Nobody gets it. And not only do you kill your message, you kill 2 brands, actually. You kill your personal brand, and then by extension, you kill your company's brand. Because guess what? If we all go to a presentation from here right now, go to a different venue, big hall, speaker, the speaker gets up and they're dreadful, do we say, oh, that's an exception? That company's a brilliant company, that one person happens to be not very professional looking. No. We put a big X through the whole company because we think, oh, well, that person represents that company. So if they're no good, the company can't be any good. So we've got to be very aware that the brand is us, and by extension it impacts our company, and we are the message as we deliver here. So we'll go through some of the objectives. So I mentioned before, there are ways of planning and organising the structure. We will teach you a number of those today and tomorrow. And as humans, you know, we're very tough. We're really tough. We make very quick judgments about each other. In those first 10 seconds, we meet someone. We make a judgment. We decide, like them, don't like them, trust them, don't trust them, I'm interested, I'm not interested. We're very quick. So that first impression is a killer if we don't get it right. We're going to teach you about getting a great first impression. And also last impression. Because at the end of the conversation or the presentation or whatever, we have a final impression of you. That's one we take with us. So we don't leave that to chance. We make sure we get that working. We are not a repertory theatre company. We are not going to teach you oratory. We won't be doing parts of Shakespeare here. I can see a bright future for all of you, friends. No, we want you to be you. Your natural you. However, what we're looking for is your professional you. your professional you in front of other people, be it a board meeting, be it an internal meeting, be it a small group presentation, a big group presentation. Be yourself, but be your professional you. So, hopefully, we'll get around the problems of nerves, a little bit of feeling self-conscious. When we're nervous, it's all about me. In this program, you're going to learn to forget about you and to be all about your audience. So we're going to switch the direction. Me becomes my audience. Then we're going to turn that around. How to compress messages so it's brief and clear and powerful. That's a skill. I remember this great quote from Abraham Lincoln. He was writing back to someone who asked me for a talk. And he said, well, look, if you want a 3-hour talk, I can do it right now. If you want a 20-minute talk, it's going to take me 3 weeks to prepare it. That's the difference. A rambling, elongated, 3-hour talk is easy. No structure, no clarity, no force. Just babbling away. But a very tight 20-minute presentation takes a lot of work. So we're going to look at that. And then, we don't think often we're in the sales business. Oh, you don't have a salesperson on your card, so you're not in sales. But we are. We are all in sales because we're selling suggestions, we're selling insights, we're selling our ideas, we're selling our recommendations to our colleagues and clients all day long. So in fact, we are selling in that sense. And we're trying to inspire others to do what we think they should do. So we're going to deal with that area of the program as well. So day one, this is today of course, we will start with the first presentation, creating a first positive impression. Then we'll move on to how to have more credibility, more trust, more believability, more credence. People take you seriously when you get up and speak, or if you're sitting and speaking across the table, it doesn't matter. How to do that? This is great. Some of us will have very complex businesses. We might have complex formulas, we might have complex structures. How do we explain that to people who are not as expert as we are? Great session on how to present complex information. Now, if you don't have to present complex information, great. That's easy, right? But if you ever have to, it'd be great to know how to do it professionally. And that's what we'll do. Day two, tomorrow morning, we're going to really elongate our range. Our vocal range, our energy range, our gesture range. We're going to really stretch that out and give you a big scope from which to draw when you give presentations and talks. So you're going to have a lot of activity. Great session. Look forward to that one. Love that session. Now, I said before about selling ideas, inspiring others. Well, sometimes we want people to actually do something. Please approve this budget. Please join this project. Please help me with whatever. That requires them caring to do it. How do we get people to actually want to do things? How do we motivate them? Great section on it. This is probably one of the most valuable things you'll ever learn in your entire professional career. You're in the meeting with the big boss. He hits you with a question. You're at the board meeting. The board hits you with a tough question. You're in your team. You're meeting with another team. Someone from the other team hits you with a really tough question. Maybe you're in a meeting with your rival. And they're trying to make you look bad. So they hit you with a tough question. It could be a small gathering. And there's someone in the audience who doubts everything you say, and they hit you with a tough question. It could be a big group, and there's someone who's really opposed to everything, about everything, and they hit you with a tough question. Now, for most people, that is a very fearsome situation, because they don't know how to deal with it. And during your presentation, you look fantastic. You're up here, you've got the PowerPoint's hot, you're hot, running smoothly, it's all going according to plan, you look great. Then, Q&A. At that point, you lose control. You've got no idea what people are going to ask you, what tangent they're going to take the conversation on. Who knows where we're going with this? If you don't know what you're doing, you get lost. We're going to teach you how to always, 100% of the time, be in control, no matter where you are. Inside your presentation, outside your presentation, Q&A. That's very, very useful. And then finally, we're all looking to improve our results. That requires change. Generally speaking, for whatever reason, we're all a bit resistant to change. How do we get people to actually want to change? Great presentation on that one. So, some things that have an impact on our capacity to influence people. Our appearance, whether we look professional, whether we don't look professional. Remember, those first impressions are based on how we look, what people can physically see. They can't know us, but they get an impression of how we look. So we're going to make sure that that's working. Then, the way we speak, the way we use our gestures, the way we our energy behind the message, communication methodology, our attitude. Do we look confident? You know, when I gave that first example, you know, my head down, I was no body energy, I didn't look confident. And so maybe I wasn't looking nervous because you couldn't see me because I was looking down. But sometimes we can appear a bit nervous. You know, I was giving a presentations class, an English gentleman, and at the beginning, first session, first presentation, his hands were constantly shaking like that. That was the only thing that you could see that was shaking. Probably everything was shaking, but the hands, you could see the hands. He was like that. At the end, no shaking. But it said a lot about his confidence, his self-control, his attitude. He was terrified. Do we want to be like that? Is that building up to having influence? Probably not. We don't want to have that. And how we relate to people, how we understand our audience, how we get the message on time and on target for that audience, so it's relevant, how we address them. And then all of this, with our professional competence as a unit, has influence on people. So, think about coaching. What sort of coaching would you like to enjoy at this training? Just take a little moment at your tables, have a quick discussion. Okay, let's just hear some ideas from what you came up with. I had a lot of laughter over here, that's always a good sign. What did you guys talk about at this table? What are some things you'd like to get in coaching?
So in a nutshell, peer coaching.
Peer coaching, yes?
We're here as a team to
Yep.
at this table.
Help each other. That's great. What did you talk about on this table?
Talk about something to accept to change. You know.
Coaching that helps you to make change.
Yeah.
Right? So you can improve. Great. How about you? You didn't have much time, maybe, but...
Learn from the others, and the other thing is to build up with the small successes.
So build on your strengths. Okay. Well, Dale Carnegie is a 102-year-old company devoted to helping adults learn. And so we've learned a lot about how to help people to learn. And we have some very specific coaching. One is called Just in Time. Now, you will receive this over the next 2 days. And what it means is that as you are doing something, you are receiving the coaching at that precise moment. Now, a very simple way to explain it is I'll demonstrate a golf pro teaching a golf student. I'm a very bad golfer, so do not take any notice at all of this part of the coaching. But a golf pro, you know, if you're learning how to take the swing, you know, bang, the golf pro doesn't wait until you've taken the swing and then say, oh, by the way, you should have done this, and you needed to do this, and by the way, it would have been good if you did this and this and this as well. No. As you're actually taking the swing, they're telling you, bend your knees, left shoulder down, keep your head down, drive with the back leg, drive with the back leg. So they're actually peppering you with just-in-time coaching as you're delivering. So you can actually adjust as you're doing it. So you don't have to wait till it's over and think, oh, it's gone, I can't go back. You do it as you go through. So while we're coaching you in this room, when you're in the review room with Gary, you've got to see the video, so it comes afterwards, you can review it. But here, as you're doing it, I will coach you. Now, warning! Warning. The first time this happens, it can be very annoying. I have to warn you. Because what's going to happen is, while you're speaking, I will talk over the top of it with the coaching advice. Now, in polite society, right, we don't talk over each other, do we? And when you've got, you've really got your brains working and you've got this very critical thing you want to tell us and you've got this message you want to get out, and as you're speaking, I'm telling you something, you feel like saying, will you shut up? Just wait till I finish. But that's not how it works. Because you can correct, you can adjust what you're doing as you're doing it. So don't get thrown by the fact that I'll be giving you some advice as you're doing it to help you correct. But I do warn you, first time, drive you nuts. But you get used to it. So it's very active, it's helpful. We're going to try and stretch you and challenge you. So you come out of this much bigger in your professional potential. You're going to tell me very shortly the things you want to achieve out of this course. We're going to hold you to those things and ask you to keep working on those things. And I and Gary are going to try and model what we want you to become in terms of your professional presentation ability. Okay? So that's how we're going to do the coaching. This particular one, it's a simple structure, but it's the delivery that makes it come alive. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to bring your gestures out. Don't be afraid to bring your voice into it. Don't be afraid to bring your face into it. The power of that is so tremendous. Now, in this laboratory for 2 days, we're going to really explode your range. Right? We're going to stretch it. So when you get back to a normal business environment, you can bring it back to business professional range, but you need to stretch it first. So don't be afraid to push yourself further than you used to, because this is the laboratory. We come back after the laboratory, we get back to the real world. Okay, there are limits, but you've got to have that capacity to stretch your brain. Okay. This ability to start forgetting about you because it's working and start projecting to your audience. This is where we start to flip it now. For this first one, it's all about, there's the camera, there's the audience, here's me, and I've got to say something and do something. But as we go through and as we practice the giving of the presentations, you'll start to forget about you and concentrate more on your audience. And that's where we're going with this. So see some of the fundamentals. I ask you not to bring anything up here to read, right? Because you know your name, your work, you know all that stuff. And generally speaking, we suggest you never read it if you can avoid it. You can have notes, but rather than reading every line. Sometimes you might have to read it for someone else. If you're representing them, it has to be word for word, but that's rare. But try and own the material so that it's yours. And Japan, is a country that normally, or the classic is you start with an apology, right? That's Japan, right? Or you start with an apology. I'm a terrible speaker, I'm not prepared, whatever it might be. Okay. Well, scrub that and be positive from the beginning. Right? Project that positive belief in your audience. If you're a comfortable, professional, credible person, the value you have is what you want to get across to the audience, not that they're wasting their time. You are providing something that's beneficial to them. They want to hear it. So there's some of the things we look at there. I say, you can some notes, don't write it out word for word. Don't try and memorize it. You don't need to do that. I attended an executive training course in Harvard Business School. And they just moved into, this is some time ago now, it was a new facility, and they had the type of deep pit with ascending seats and unbelievably blackboards, huge blackboards, triple. But one of the professors, he was standing at the front, and behind us on the wall was about 10 things written on a chart, 10 words. And for the next 2 hours, he gave this lecture. That was his lecture, those 10 words. Each of those words represented the next stage in what he was going to talk about. He didn't have to read it. He just looked, oh yeah, now I'm up to this part. And away he went, because he knew his stuff. So you can do the same. You might have some notes, and no problem, look at the notes and you pick it up. It's reading it that takes your eyes away from the audience to the page and your head comes down. Evidence is very critical, so you back up the things you're saying. Now, you're never going to be able to give everything to an audience. You're going to have too much information. That's always the problem. Too many slides, too much information, you've got to bring it down. That's good, because if you need to draw on things additionally, you can do it. And this is the critical one. We don't rehearse. We spend all our time on the PowerPoint. We spend all our time getting ourselves organised to get to the venue, but we don't rehearse it. Or if we rehearse it, we don't speak it. So you might have things that are written down, but when you come to say it, as opposed to read it, totally different flow. It doesn't come across as well when spoken as when it's written. So the rehearsing part is critical. I often give keynote speeches internationally. I'm traveling, I'm in a hotel room the night before. And at night in a hotel room, if you have the lights out, the mirror effect works on the glass of the window, so you can see yourself. So I can see myself, and I'm imagining I'm gesturing to an audience member who's not even there, but I'm seeing the audience in front of me, so I'm doing the eye contact, I'm doing all the stuff, and I'm practicing my speech. I'm going through the whole thing, I'm rehearsing it for the next day. And I might do that 10, 15 times before a 20-minute speech, before I get there. The rehearsal part is the key. Don't get tied up in the PowerPoint. As I said, quoting Roger Ailes at the beginning, we are the message. You are the message. So that's the rehearsal part, the delivery part, that becomes very important. So visual aids are good, but you must be the centerpiece. Don't be dominated by the screen. Don't be dominated by the flip chart. Don't be dominated by the handout. You must be the centerpiece. Now, you'll notice that I'm standing on this side of the screen. And I do that for a particular reason. Even in Japanese these days, a lot of Japanese is written left or right. Even if it's tate, it's going left or right. English is left or right. I want you to look at my face. I'm the message. Then read what's on the screen. Look at me, read here. Look at me, read here. That's why I stand here. But when you go to a function, often they'll have it the other way around. Because the people who are organising it are not public speakers. They're not trained professionals. They don't know. They think, oh, we just get the thing organised. So, stand on the left. Control the butterflies. This means the nervousness. That type of very slow, deep breathing gets a lot of oxygen to the brain very quickly. It'll help to calm you down, calm the nerves down. Just a little bit of talk to yourself, athletes do this all the time. I can do this, I can do this, I can make it, I can do this. I will be good, I will be good, I will be confident. And you might even be things, little flashcards to remind yourself. I'm going to give you some, or you've got some on your table. We'll do the 6 impact points in a moment, things you might want to review before you get out there. And physical activity. If you are worried about being a bit nervous, Gary, you might just turn the air machine up a little bit. It's getting a bit coolish in here now. I can see people shivering. That's always a good indicator. That's how we keep everyone awake, so minus degrees in there. But if you feel you're a bit nervous, you're a bit too hyped up, often you'll be off stage or maybe in a different room. Pace a bit, just do a bit of hard pacing, just really work up, just really get the energy pumped out, use it up a little bit, so then you can bring it down again when you get out on stage. You've used up that nervous energy before people see you. And then, as I said before, don't try and be somebody you're not. Don't try and be an actor in a Shakespearean drama. Don't try and be Steve Jobs if you think Steve Jobs is a good presenter. Don't try and be Barack Obama if you think Obama is a good presenter. Be you, but be the professional you. That's the key thing. So when we're speaking, we're trying to establish some rapport with the audience. You might mention that you are honoured to be asked to speak, to show some respect to the audience. If you are able to, you get there a little bit early, and you meet a few people, it's not a bad idea in the speech to say, Bruce and I were having a chat on the way into the venue today. I thought he made a very interesting point about blah, blah, blah. When I say that now, it's not me, speaker, audience over here. We are now one of the same team. You know, I brought Bruce into it, so I'm now one of you. I'm connecting with the audience. And Bruce, well, he's sitting high in his chair. Yeah, I got some recognition, you know. And you see this today with politicians. They do it all the time. You know, they're mentioning somebody in Kansas. It's Barack Obama. I was talking to somebody in Texas after the cyclone or whatever. You hear that type of thing. They're trying to include people in their speech to connect with the audience. And play yourself down or up, it means be humble. Be humble. Just don't go too humble, but be more on the humble side. And try and say we rather than what you, audience, need to be doing is not as good as what we need to be. Get inclusive. We are one unit. We are a group, not I'm speaking, your audience separated out. Now this is very tricky for Japanese people. Maybe amongst yourselves you can discriminate between what is a serious face and what's an angry face. But I'm telling you, as a foreigner, I often see a very serious Japanese face, but I think it looks angry. And I can't tell which is which. I had a very interesting example that I was giving a speech. It was 100 salespeople. I was promoting Australian education at that time, and I'm talking about the virtues of having young people educated in Australia. Big audience, 100 people. I still remember, midsection, left side, one guy. Whole hour I'm talking. He's not buying what I'm saying. That's what his face is telling me. So being a professional speaker, I ignore him and look for the people who are going, and you should do the same. If you've got someone who looks like they're not buying what you're saying, ignore them and look for the people who are going like this and look at them. Makes you more confident. Anyway, at the end of my speech, this guy gets out of his chair and comes racing up to the front. I thought he was going to punch me. He didn't look happy, you know? But he came up to me and he said, he said in Japanese, that was fantastic, that was great, I really enjoyed that, wonderful talk. I love Australia. I thought, my God, tell your face! You know? Because his face looked so angry. So be careful that a very serious, considered face might be interpreted as an happy, angry face. Right? And particularly for Japanese people, because I can't tell you're angry and you're serious face. It looks the same face now. So we try and think about our audience and what's interesting for them. And we talk in those terms, so we get them involved. And I say, in Japan, you start with an apology, don't apologise, get straight into it. Now, it says appeal to the nobler emotions of your audience. Your audience want to be satisfied by your talk, they want to be educated by your talk, that's why they're there. So presume they're for you, as opposed to against you. So even if I see that very serious face, it may not be an angry face, it might just be a serious face. Anyway, don't look at them anyway, just in case. All right? Look for the people who are with you. And if you get into Q&A, and people have a go at you, they criticise what you say, take it as feedback. Don't take it personally. Don't take it as, oh, I'm under attack. No. What you have presented as a construct, as an intellectual piece, as some information, is under attack, not you personally. So separate yourself out from what you're saying and you, the person saying. And this is very important. Be a good person, skilled in speaking. Don't be a good speaker. Do you hear the difference? Don't become a good speaker. Become a good person, skilled in speaking. The difference is this. There are lots of scams all around the world. I get these emails all the time from someone in Nigeria. And I'm sure if I want to get a couple of $1 million, it's available to me anytime. You have the audio scams going on in Japan. I read there's lots of things going on, right? People who are criminals are very persuasive. They are very good talkers. They'll sell you the Rainbow Bridge. You know, they'll sell you something that they don't own. They'll sell you an investment in the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo for a construction fund that doesn't exist. I read that in the paper the other day. So we're not trying to teach people to be good speakers, because that can be, the criminal element can have that capacity. Con men, con women. What we're talking about is be a good person, skilled in speaking. It's a different emphasis. Okay, so we just talk a little bit about preparation. So this is very critical. First decision, who am I talking to? If you're within your company, you'll know who it is, so you have a very good idea. If it's a public speech, you're not sure, find out from the organisers, who am I talking to? Age bracket, gender, professional interest, degree of knowledge, where are they? Where do I need to pitch this? Why am I speaking? What am I trying to achieve here? And there are 4 things we're going to look at. Help us on that. First impression, very critical. So the opening is very important. When you come to any talk, even within the company, imagine everybody's head is already full. It's already bursting with knowledge, data, information. They're just crazy with it already. So you've got to cut through that. How are you going to break in to all that stuff that's crowding their mind? That's what we're going to look at in the opening. Can't have so many key points because of the time limitation. What are the key points I want to cover? How many? What are some evidence I'm going to back up my key points with? Got to have that. And then, how will I finish it off? Last impression. The last thing they hear and see from me, why will they want to remember me? Why will they be impressed by what I said? Because last thing is what they tend to remember. First impression, last impression, tend to be the critical ones. Alright, so there are 4 things. We're either trying to convince someone or impress them. Could be information. Maybe we want them to take some action. Maybe it's just be entertaining. So you've got an audience. Think about your audience. Then think about which is it. With this audience, what am I trying to do? And depending on what you're trying to achieve, your whole structure will be different. So begin with that. You can even do it as a matrix. Write down the audience here and then decide which one is it. Oh, I want to do some action. So I'm going to prepare a talk that way. Oh, I just need to tell them something. I'm going to inform them of something. I want them to come away thinking my organisation and I are really fantastic brands. I want to sell them on the brands. Or I just want this to be entertaining so people enjoy themselves. That is a very critical analysis at the very start.